Hi beautiful, Becca Starr here to share two different exercises that could really help you overcome a big fear or something you're feeling very stuck with. And the first exercise is helpful to get clarity on your capability to handle anything. Any big fear that you have, this exercise will help you truly overcome the fear, and I'll walk you through it and tell you why and exactly what to do to get to that place of freedom from a fear that potentially has kept you stuck for years because you believe something about it. And while I know what it's like and it's understandable, it's validated, and all the reasons why you should have this fear or that kind of add up to tell you it's the right thing to do to have this particular fear, I'm here to tell you you're missing out on freedom and your full potential by allowing this fear to take hold and control your life in any way or limit you in any way for one more second. So I'm going to first review this exercise, and once you've done this exercise, you will more easily be able to do the second exercise really at any time you need some more clarity. And it will also give you freedom for when things just happen. Life happens, and maybe you are experiencing something where you're kind of stuck in some fear for a few days and you can't seem to shake it, and it just feels like life is just overwhelming, or it's just too much, or it just is a general impending sort of feeling that things aren't really great and you can't get out of it. So this particular second exercise is going to help you sail right through that. And the key to both of them is that they are giving you clarity. Clarity is the key to all of your freedom. Once you're clear specifically on what thought exactly is causing you this drama, this spinning out of control, not really feeling freedom and fulfillment because you're really kind of stuck in this cycle. I can call that the vicious cycle. Once you are very clear on exactly the one thought, because it's only one thought, believe it or not, that's causing all of that to happen, you get your feet on the ground. You feel a little bit better. You have that clarity where you can then overcome that fear. So here's what happens. We go through life, things trigger us, we develop fears, and anytime anything similar happens in the future as an adult, something that happens in your 30s is very likely to make you feel like you did when you were 8 years old, when that initial situation, that initial trigger happened that caused you to feel certain things. And you know how awful that feels. You will do anything in your 30s having any similar experience to avoid ever having to go through that again. So if it's a fear of abandonment, or it's a fear of being embarrassed or ridiculed, or feeling not supported, and feeling like you're not enough. Most of the situations that happen when we are adults are unresolved issues anyway from our childhood or at some point before that current event. I mean, it could be anything. If it's your weight, it could be because somebody made fun of you in something that you were wearing when you were a teenager, and you swore to God you would never feel that way again. And this is all subconscious stuff, and it's all there to protect you, but it also keeps you down, and it limits you, and it creates a cycle of fear, and you're only acting from a place of insecurity and fear, and you deserve so much more than that. So your clarity on knowing, oh my gosh, that actually stems from this one experience. And then take a look at the one thought that you drew from that. Like, what did you make that experience mean? There's one thought that you chose to believe based on that experience. And if you get really clear on what that one thought is, you can change everything from there. But without that clarity, you stay stuck in a cycle. And it's a vicious cycle because it is there to, while it is there to protect you, it causes so many negative things, negative feelings, negative actions, inaction, and negative relationships, things that are not there to fully support who you really are and who you can be, and all the help that you provide others just by being you and being here on this planet with us at this time. We need you. So this is going to help you clear out all the BS and get ready to be more of who you really are and who you can be. And what I want you to also consider is that while the things happened when we were children or teenagers at some point previously, it could also literally be the event that happened 2 weeks ago, which is you stood on the scale and it said a number. That number is now making you feel and behave in certain ways. But if you look back to getting on the scale, all you did was step on a scale, it said a number, and you made that number mean something negative that's not serving you. So it could be as current, as last week, something that happened in the past. So let's start with the first exercise. Now, when we have an experience and we take away a thought from that, like we make that experience mean something, we have a choice what we make it mean. But when you have an experience and you have a takeaway thought, it's usually one thought. And if you can really get clear on what that one thought is, if that one thought is, I am unlovable, no one will ever love me because somebody said you looked ridiculous in an outfit. One time you were 12 years old, somebody you really cared about said it in a way because of their own shit. They said something to you, and your takeaway is that no one will ever love me, which in turn requires you to act in certain ways. That one thought, no one will ever love me, will create feelings that are negative. They're based in insecurity and fear and withholding from others and withholding yourself, your own potential and your own positive experiences. No one will ever love me. So let's use this one thought and do this exercise. What I want you to do is write at the top of the paper, no one will ever love me. Okay, next, what will I do then? Well, I would probably cry in my room and eat ice cream for 4 weeks. It would be that painful, really. If nobody really will ever love me, I will, maybe you tap into some part of your mind that tells you, well, I would be okay. I will do really good in career. I will help others in this way, but I will never have intimate relationships because that would be too painful to find out nobody ever loved me. I want you to stick with the original one thought, that single fear that you've figured out, that you have this one fearful thought that just keeps repeating itself because you haven't gotten the clarity on it yet. You get clear on the thought and you do the if-then exercise. If this happens, then I would. If this happens, then I would. Keep doing this writing on this one thought. If no one ever loved me, then I would. Then you take, if no one ever loved me, you write that a few times. And then one of those actions, like, okay, well, then I would be fat forever. If I was fat forever, then I would. And what I want you to keep doing is writing, 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 writing. Take it all the way to the point where you can finally see with full clarity, if this happened, then I would be okay. if this happened, then I would survive. I know I would. What happens when we have a fear is it starts spinning, and we quite honestly just come from a place of generalized anxiety, thinking, I will die. Or if we are afraid that something's going to happen to our child because maybe they've just gotten their driver's license, but then that fear creates a lot of other anxiety and fear. It feels very generalized, like they got their license, I'm freaking out, but in our head we're spinning about all the awful things that could happen. What I want you to do is grab hold of those awful things and put them on paper. If they got into a car accident, then I would. And really take yourself through it. If they died, that's your worst fear, probably, then I would. And I want you to see your life in that future setting that while you might not want to look at it, it's got control of you anyway, so you might as well shine a little light on it and get some clarity. If this worst case scenario happened, then I would. And I really want you to go deep with it and really take a look at what would you do. Really give yourself the gift of options, that you're writing about something knowing that you will always, always, always know what to do next. You will always figure it out. You will always be okay. And if you feel like you get to the end of the writing and you're not feeling like, I think I really would be okay, you're not done with the writing. You have the gift of the human spirit, just like every other human being. You need to tap into yours more in this one area, because if it's holding you back, it's a limiting belief, it's a fear that you don't have to live with anymore. And the best way to know that it's not going to kill you and ruin you forever is by going there, going deep into the thought. If this happened, then I would. That's exercise 1. The next exercise is, as you go through your life, and maybe you've done that work, maybe you still need to do that work, but you're really spinning out about some things that are happening. Oh my God, I'm afraid my husband's gonna leave me. Or, oh my God, what if my husband dies and what would I do then? Or, oh my God, and this is like marital stuff. So, oh my God, what if that happens? If you've done the first exercise, this requires a lot less time. But if you still need to do that, I want you to walk through each of those fears and get really clear, like, okay, if that happened, then I would. And then what? And then what would you do? And then what? And then what? And keep going through it. Now, this is the best exercise when you have clarity that nothing will kill you, that you will be okay, and you can handle a lot more than you think you can. This exercise helps you get really clear on what's needing your attention the most. So I gave some examples of marriage. Let's say your fear is of public speaking and you have some kind of event coming up where you need to do some public speaking. What I want you to do, and you can even just do this in your head, but say it out loud. I will be okay if. Now, if you get stuck on, I will be okay if my husband leaves me. No, I won't. That's where you do the writing. If that happened, then I would. So that you get really, really clear to that point of the end goal that you will be okay no matter what. But let's just say you're feeling all of this anxiety and you feel like it's just a lot of stuff and you're not even clear. It's like, well, yeah, that's like part of it. But the other part is that my kids are going crazy and this and that and this and that. So what I want you to do is every single stressor that you're experiencing, the fear, say that sentence until you get to one that you know, nope, I won't be okay. And that's the fear you have to work on. I will be okay. Now, I give these examples because I've walked through fears. I have the fear of abandonment and what ifs and all of the fear that I've done all that work on. So the other night I was in the bath. I've been having a harder week. If you follow me on Facebook, I shared very honestly about my history of depression and just doing what I had to do, the small stuff that we have to do to make sure that we don't, go down a rabbit hole or make it any worse or really torment ourselves too much, because that's hard when you're dealing with extra. It's not just having a bad day, but having a history of depression or anxiety. And I am so grateful it opened up such a conversation that was so vulnerable. And people offering help to give their things that help them. And there was such a range of ideas that were offered, but also the women that shared their struggles with anxiety and depression, and knowing that we are not alone. That conversation, it was scary to share what I shared, but I knew right away from the very first couple comments, like in the first 10 minutes, it was the right thing to do. And so from that, what I wanted to say is I got through what I was in, and it will always pass, but I had to do the work myself. I could still be in that, it could come back, but I know that I have these tools. And one of them is that writing. Well, if that happened then, because what happens is the fear can take me down. It can take you down. We can go down rabbit holes. So you have to get really clear on the fear, but then what you can do, so I was in the bath and I was feeling very overwhelmed. That's what really triggered all of these like negative feelings. And my husband was traveling a lot and being a stay-at-home mom and feeling very responsible for a house that every night there was like an enormous, inappropriate amount of dishes. I don't know where all the dishes keep coming from. And, I had to do the work to help me get clarity, to help me get freedom, because I was stuck in a cycle. My husband's traveling a lot. We're not really feeling connected, and something feels wrong, but in my head, it feels very generalized. And so when we're going through something, when there's vagueness and it's just a general feeling of chaos or disorder or negativity or fear or insecurity, it feels overwhelming because it is too much of a general thought. You want to get down to the specific thought that's at the root of it all. So I will be okay if my husband leaves me. I already know I'll be okay. I've done that work. I have a fear of abandonment. I've already done a lot of work around that. I know I will be okay. Okay, I will be okay if my husband cheats on me. I actually would be okay with that. And I do know that because I've done the work. And I could tell you some other thoughts about being a mom or screwing my children up like for the rest of their lives, or all of these really big generalized fears that I knew as I said them, I will be okay. And then I got to the one statement that I knew was what I had to work on. I will be okay if things stay the same. Ding, 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 ding. That's the thought. I will be okay if things stay the same. Nope, I won't. And it had me pause, look at that thought, and go deeper, get more clarity with that one specific fear. Now, what it helped me to see is that I've been trying to save money, and I haven't had, normally I would have a mother's helper come in at night when he's traveling a lot, usually 5 to 7 or 5 to 8 p.m. is such a huge help to have somebody make dinner while I'm hanging out with the kids, or have them hang out with the kids while I'm cleaning or making dinner. I mean, they leave, the dishes are done. I don't have to think too much about it. Or they come and I go take a shower, or I go lay down, or I do something, but it is worth every dollar for sanity. And I made a decision a couple months ago that I was going to save some money, and I wasn't going to do it that way. Now, the insanity kicked in and I didn't see it. I didn't make the connections until I did this work and I got to that one thought. And having things like feel too big or overwhelming, the best gift we can give ourselves is to get super, super specific with exactly what it is. By my specificity, by my going deeper, getting clearer, and nailing it with that one thought, like, I will be okay if things stay the same. No, I won't. Like, I will die. Like, okay, work with that thought then. And knowing the connection I made with the clarity of what I was really afraid of, do you know I went into the evening knowing, okay, I'm going to talk to my husband tonight because I need more support. We need to talk about this. And I wasn't sure what I was going to ask for or what I needed really. I just knew I had to have the conversation. Having the conversation caused me some fear. Like, I don't want to have to talk about this stuff. I just want everything to be okay. That was how I was feeling. I had a rough couple of days. I didn't want to have any big marital discussions that night. But I knew because of the clarity, I knew specifically what I needed to talk about, and it wasn't all of the other stuff. So when we're feeling all the other stuff, we could feel blame, resentment, anger, sadness. We could look at everything and everyone around us that normally we might feel very grateful for, and that thing and blame that and look at that and be angry or sad or feel like all of the thoughts that go into sharing your life with others. And that could be, he doesn't understand me, he doesn't support me, he doesn't get this, or he doesn't care about this. We make a lot of meanings out of one little fear, this one little fear. So when I nailed that thought and I knew that's it, when it was time, when the kids were in bed and we were sitting at the table and we started to talk, do you know he started the conversation? I said barely 5 words and he started, you know what, honey, I've been thinking, if I'm traveling and I'm touring and, you know, I'm out there, I'm making money anyway, I'm going to put some money into the babysitter fund because that's a necessity. And I didn't even ask, I didn't even have to say anything. And that has happened so many times. When I get crystal clear about something, the universe responds. My husband will say or do something on his own, just without even knowing that I just made this connection. Or I say very little and there's such a big receiving of it from others or the universe because I was ready. I was ready to face my fear. I was ready to get clarity. I was ready to not let it hold me back or control my life or limit me anymore. And we can do these 2 exercises and they will give us so much freedom at any time with anything ever in your life. And so I wanted to offer these to you today because personally I've gone through so much of the work myself in the last week, and it's a great example that I can clearly, you know, I can just share with you because I'm just walking through it. And I know hearing other people talk about things that I wanted to offer this because I know it can help you, and it takes some intention, a little focus on things that might not feel good. And sometimes I have found that women that if this happens, then I would, that exercise, there's a fear of even looking that closely at something. That's where all that freedom's going to come from. And it's not a one-stop shop. There will be other things. So even if you've done that work and you feel like, well, I shouldn't be feeling that anymore, or I've already dealt with that fear, do it again. There's something there for you. And if you can just take it all the way out, all the way to the end, and don't stop, don't surrender, don't give up until you actually get to that feeling of knowingness. I will be okay. I know I'll be okay. And you know it, like you know it in your heart because you've seen it in your mind. You know you will be okay. Then you're complete. That doesn't mean forever. That doesn't mean you won't need to revisit and do maybe the same thing again. it has been a lifelong pattern of fearing that same thought or that scenario that you've done everything in your power to avoid, that you will never allow something to happen because of this. That's the kind of stuff that you do that work on, and then you get freedom from, and you just continue to just repeat until you truly are at a place where you might be able to do that exercise. I will be okay if, I will be okay if, and you start to realize, like, I know I'll be okay with that stuff. Where 3 years ago, I wouldn't have been that certain about, these bad things happening, that I would be okay. But I know I will be okay. And we can use this with public speaking. We could use this about losing weight. There is a fear of losing weight and getting attention. I hear many women, it's more comfortable and familiar to keep the weight on, because the moment you start looking good and people give you attention, your deepest fear is that you're ugly. Maybe that's the thought you walked away with. Like, I am ugly, nobody will love me. So the moment things change because your physical appearance is changing and you're getting attention from others, that's making you face that fear without realizing that's what you have to do. Every single time you walk out your door, it's easier for you with a fear like that to keep the weight on, because you haven't dealt with the heart of the fear. The root of the fear is that something happened, you believed that you were ugly and that no one will ever love you. So for you to walk out the door looking hot every day, getting that kind of attention, you look beautiful. Oh my God, what are you doing? Paying you attention in a way that's adoring you and saying how beautiful you are. That's making you face that fear and that discomfort and that belief that you have that you're ugly and no one will ever love you in every single conversation. Why would you do that to yourself? You don't ever want to feel that way, so you're just probably gonna do whatever you have to do to not feel that way. And oftentimes you just continue to go back to keeping the weight on, plugging the pain. We plug the pain rather than walk through it. And you can walk through it. You're capable of that. And there's a gift in there for you. And it's your gift specifically for you. So figure out what it is. Find your unique strengths in these processes. These are 2 different exercises. Let me know if you have any questions on them. I hope that they help you. And I hope that you live a beautiful life filled with freedom because of your commitment to your self-discovery and your personal development. Thanks so much for joining me today.